happy Sunday. This is going to be the best video that has ever existed on the internet about how you can get over your embarrassment and share your work in the world. Now, so many people out there are terrified of putting work into the world. More importantly though, if you're a creative person or an artist, what you're really afraid of, and this is very important, pay attention, especially to this bit, you're afraid of people seeing you try. You're afraid of people seeing you trying and thinking that you are quote-unquote cringe, quote-unquote embarrassing. Now why? Why is this that we're afraid of people seeing us trying? It's quite interesting. The other day I was chatting to someone and they were talking about someone being cool, right? And I thought, that's an interesting term really, isn't it? When we think about these classic actors, these classic musician, rock star types, and they act quote-unquote cool, right? What does it actually mean? Well, what's the opposite of cool? What's the opposite of cool? Warm. So people who you see out there trying, putting themselves out there, putting themselves in the arena and really having a go, what do you generally feel towards them? You generally feel warmed. People who are out there looking like they're absolutely perfect and always getting it right, it's not a good look. You don't want to be too perfect, right? It doesn't connect your work to other people. Now, I have a tremendous, ungodly, unusual amount of experience in generating public results, right? I've done thousands of concerts. I've sat in front of tens of thousands of people, probably hundreds of thousands of people across my 15 years. I've released 10 albums. I've built a Patreon. I'm online constantly offering services, selling, being visible, sharing my life, sharing the good parts, sharing the bad parts. And I also coach dozens of people every year on how to create amazing results in their life, right? And the number one pattern I will see in people who I'm coaching is the belief, the false belief, that there's going to be a perfect circumstance somewhere, and there isn't. Just last night I did a show in a little place called Largs in Scotland. It was a beautiful show. We managed to sell it out, which was amazing because the last time we were there was about half the amount of people there, and I managed to learn Facebook ads, and that's another thing I've been working on. So it was amazing to see that come to fruition and see a nice full house. And I'll be honest with you, last night I was burnt out. Like, I mean burnt out, okay? Because I think a lot of people say, I'm burnt out. You're not burnt out. You're overwhelmed and you need to actually take action. I was burnt out, okay? I create an insane amount of results for myself and for other people as a creative coach and as a songwriter and as an artist. And last night, it only happens once in a while, I was burnt out, okay? And the reason I was burnt out is because I felt like it was going to be better somewhere else than where I actually was last night. That's what burnout is. Burnout is a false belief that it's going to be better on the other side of some kind of event. And I was experiencing that last night, and it happens. And what you have to do with burnout is just take a little bit of rest and rejuvenate, and that's what I'm going to do today. But here's my point. I was singing on stage last night and I had nothing. I had nothing in the tank. I felt no kind of energy. I felt, you know, that kind of low level anxiety that you feel when you just have no energy. And yet that was the circumstance I was in. And I was sat in front of a room full of people and I just gave the best show that I could. And I adjusted my attitude to go, this is it, Adam, we're here. You're alive for, in the grand scheme of things, a short space of time. Life's the longest thing that'll ever happen to me. But in the grand scheme of the cosmos, it's a very, very small portion of time that we're allotted on this earth. So when we show up to do the work, be that building your social media, be that having a better relationship with your kids, or making more money, or be that putting your art out into the world, writing your book, whatever, giving a talk online, whatever. When you show up to do that work and you don't have the right camera, you don't have the right microphone, you don't have the right amount of confidence, you don't have the right outfit, you don't have the right location, you don't have the right whatever, what you have to do in that moment is recognize one simple truth. And the one simple truth that you need to recognize is that everyone was born with the same advantage and the same disadvantage in this one particular area. Everyone has a life that they get to live while they're alive, and obviously we're all dealt different hands in that life, but everyone has a specific portion of life. How long that is, who's to say? You don't know, I don't know, okay? The other thing that's guaranteed is death. Each and every single one of us will live on this earth, we'll walk around, we'll sit down, we'll lie down, we'll talk, we'll laugh, we'll cry, and then we'll be gone forever, okay? So if you really want to get perspective on embarrassment as an emotional state, all you need to do is go and walk around the graveyard for about 10 minutes and just look at the gravestones. I was in a graveyard the other day. I love going to graveyards. There's a beautiful graveyard in Edinburgh called Greyfriars Kirk. It is absolutely awesome. I was in there the other day and there was this gravestone, right? And it said, for our daughter, I can't remember her name, but she was 13 years old. I remember that because it was heartbreaking. And it had carved into, this is a memorial to her amiable spirit. And these two parents had put this gravestone for their beloved daughter in the graveyard, right? Now here's the thing, where does their grief go? Where does their embarrassment go? Where does their shame go? Where does their anger go? Where does any of it go? I mean, there's different theories, right, on like karmic sort of intergenerational inheritance and, you know, all sorts of theories on afterlife, all sorts of theories on what happens when we go. But one thing that I think we can all agree on is that our time on the earth is precious. Difficult to argue with that. And if that's true, then what you have to do, and I do this for myself a lot, like just 2 nights ago I was doing a gig in another part of Scotland called Howwood, and I was about to go on stage and I was feeling like in my own head, and I just remembered, like, Adam, this is your life, you know? It's a powerful truth. Think about this moment right now. You're alive, you're here, right? You're watching this video, you're alive, and you can create your own reality to be whatever you want it to be. That's the truth. I came from an abusive, traumatic background, a lot of abuse, a lot of trauma in my upbringing. And as many humans do, I've experienced a lot of really bad things. I don't mean bad as in bad for me. I think they worked out as being good things for me in terms of my growth. But what I mean is, yeah, of course, life is contrasty. There's a lot of contrast in life. But what is true is you can create what you want to experience if you're willing to experience the contrast of life. And if you do your best not to avoid the contrast of life, you can live a really fulfilling, amazing life. And you can share your work. And you can meet people that you never thought that you would meet. And make money that you never thought you would make. And have impact and influence that you never thought you would have. And why? Not because it makes you a better person, not because it makes you more worthy, just because it's fun. That's it. It's just fun. Making stuff and putting it out there and sharing it and inspiring and growing and trying is fun. That's it. That's all I've got for you today. So go out there, make some stuff, Embarrassment is an underexplored emotional state. It won't kill you. Embarrassment won't kill you. If you had one takeaway from today's message, that's it. Get out there, embarrass yourself. You know, when I was 19, I did a gig, and it was a Robert Burns tribute night, and I did the gig, and I only knew one Robert Burns song, and I sang a Robert Burns song and a Paolo Nutini song, and then I said, I'm so sorry, I don't know why I'm here, ask for your money back, and I left, and I got on a bus and just went home, okay? And then for some reason, about 3 weeks later, I got back on the stage, okay? And you find me now, you know, 15 years later, one of Scotland's best love songwriters, doing gigs all over the place. I've got 1 million followers, I've made 10 albums, done thousands of gigs, BBC awards, blah, 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 right? Because I just kept going, and what does kept going mean? I just felt the embarrassment and kept moving, and it's been a fun ride, you know, and it continues to be a fun ride. And life can be, when you are willing to experience things other than emotional safety. Go experience dread, by the way. Feel like you're going to have a panic attack in public. I've done it loads of times. It's fine. Feel like you're going to feel terror. It's fine. Feel it. Go make stuff. If you're not already in the club, click the link in the top comment. You can also apply to work with me in the top comment. And happy Sunday, everyone. Catch you soon.